Hello and welcome to the channel. So, this is Beast from the X-Men, and I'll come in close on that, and I've had him for some time. And there he is in the kind of professor's look with the glasses. And those glasses were a bit fiddly at first, but once I worked out how they go on, I kind of found it quite easy. And he's got some chemistry flasks in his hand because he is a kind of scientist-based mutant, and as you see in the films, he does come up with some of the technology the X-Men use. But I've had this figure for a while now, and what I've been doing, because I had a poor quality camera on this phone, I got it fixed, I've been going back to all the figures I once filmed and reshooting them, but I've never shot this guy. But I do like him and I wanted to film him for some time. And he came with those accessories. And I did try to put the glasses on that head sculpt, but I think they're slightly too small around the forehead section for them to fit. So I put them on this head sculpt. And the reason I've got Mystique there, because in the films there is a kind of love connection between those two, especially in the early days of the X-Men. So I thought I'd stick her in there in that pose where she's turning from flesh into blue. And that was the first time I posed her like that on camera this year, which you would have seen in another review. So that is Mystique or Raven, however you want to think of her. So we're going to see him in a few poses, this guy. But what I'll do is I'll show him without those glasses, just to see what that looks like. So I've taken off those glasses, so you can have a good close look at that head sculpt. And I think that's him in a kind of neutral pose on that head, on that face, and his glasses are down there, or his spectacles. And I think this is the version that Kelsey Grammer played. Kelsey Grammer is famous for playing Frasier in the Frasier American TV series, the comedy. He originally appeared in Cheers as that character, but then he got his own show. But when he came back to play this X-Men figure, I thought, I really liked him. And I think that was the X-Men The Last Stand. So that was a good film that he played in. And the younger version of this character Beast, or Hank, was played by Nicholas Hoult, which he was about 8 when he first appeared in a film called About a Boy with Hugh Grant. I remember seeing it years ago, can't remember much about it, but my favourite thing of him was when he was in the Mad Max movie with Tom Hardy, and he played one of the war boys. So anyway, let's crack on with this. We'll change out this head sculpt and see what we can come up with. So I've put that as a head sculpt in now, and we're coming close on that. And as I've said, I tried to put the spectacles on that head sculpt, but I think he's slightly wider at the forehead, so it wasn't possible. But there he is, still with the chemical flasks, and quite like that pose. And there is Mystique now. She's totally blue, or Raven, as you want to refer to her, if that's what you like, that name Raven. I prefer the name Raven actually, but she's known as Mystique. I think that's her rebel mutant name. But going back to Beast, or Hank, as I think he's called. if you noticed, his hair is very similar, even with the sideboards, to the Wolverine. And I never noticed that before, funny enough, but yeah, well, he is a beast when you get down to it, like Wolverine. So we're going to take that jacket off, or that lab technician coat, and see him in his full glory. So this is Beast as we like to see him, and I put a prop which you might recognise of my King Kong figure, that sort of branch as a weapon. And he's kind of like in what I call a Hulk pose. You can imagine me posing my Hulk that way. And it's been a long time since I've had him like this, because I did like the Professor look. And so when I first got the figure, he was like this for about 3 months, and I thought, you know what, I'm a firm believer in using the accessories, and I didn't want to be just having them there, especially when you pay the money. I've said this before, if you've got accessories, you can try it out, you can like it or not like it, but at least you've done it, rather than never use them. So I had him like this for about 3 months when I first got him, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to give him the Professor look, and I really like that look. So I've had him for 3 years in the Professor look, so now I've put him into this mode. I think I'm going to keep him this way, but I'm just getting some angle shots, and I'll try a few poses with him and the weapon he's got, the branch, but I might try using those hands there. We'll give it a go. So coming in close now, I've done a sideways on, and mainly to show you that that's the hand I put in. I would call it a gesture hand because it's not going to grip anything. Don't know why they couldn't have given us more like a claw ripping hand, but it's not a bad pose. Let's go from this angle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to put the weapon into the other hand, but I'm going to have to change out that hand there to do that and see what that looks like. So I'm always going to do the one knee pose just to demonstrate posability and articulation, and I managed to get the fighting fist on and put in that other hand which can grip that tree branch, and I quite like that. So what I'm going to do is going to put it on pause quickly just so I can tilt the head forward, because he's actually roaring up at the skies. Oops, that was my hand there, sorry about that. Right, let's come in close. So he's looking directly towards camera, and that's not bad. I like the way this figure is put together. I think it's got the right kind of muscularity and paint application, and looks quite good. So what I might do is try him in a combat pose just to see what that looks like. Just getting an angle shot there. So we'll try a combat pose and see if it comes well up on camera. With these poses, it's a long time since I've posed him because he was in that Professor mode, but I'm gonna try and do some things that I can remember from him in the film, so we'll go for that. So I've come up with this one, and he's giving Wolverine a clobbering, as you can see there. Now this is the new head sculpt I put on this figure, because the old head sculpt actually looked a bit like the hairstyle of Beast, but this is the one I'm going for this figure, and I like it. And I will show you in the next few minutes why. But that's the first pose of them in combat, and I'm going to try another one. So I've kind of got this pose going on, and you can see Wolverine clawing at the back of Beast. Let's go and get a bird's eye angle shot to show you that. And I've got a contact pose going on there. And that's what the Wolverine is doing. I quite like that. It's a bit fiddly. I'm going to keep it in this mould, or mode, should I say, of Beast on the back foot to Wolverine. Let's come around the front. Not bad. Okay, let's get another one. And I'll just leave it on that angle because I quite like that. So I quite like this one. Coming in close. And Wolverine is continuing to slash at the back of the Beast. Getting a close up on that. Let's get the focus back. There you go. And I get them both on their feet now and just have a eye-to-eye contact pose. So let's get, excuse me, a close-up now of that contact pose. He's actually gripping the hand of Wolverine, and let's look back over his shoulder of Wolverine just to see that. And let's go on the other side just to see what Wolverine is dealing with. And overall, that's not too bad. I think, if I remember rightly, the only time these two really fell out was because in future days past, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine went back to the earlier days of the X-Men and tried to see Professor Xavier, but Hank wasn't having any of it, and Wolverine initially slapped him down, and then he got his strength up and threw Wolverine round a little bit. So there wouldn't really be enemies in the X-Men world, but we do know that in The Last Stand they come together with the X-Men to take on Magneto and Phoenix, who's now become a little bit evil. Okay then, so I'm going to wind this one up now. I'm going to give you one more pose and call it a day. So I've got them in this pose. I've got one more pose to do, but the Beast is now holding that log or branch as a weapon. Because they do fight together in the film The Last Stand, I decided to kind of end the review with them on the same side. And then we've got Wolverine in his iconic look, the mask. I'm going to come right close in on that head sculpt, and if you pay attention, that's it, to his jaw, he's got a pretty neutral jaw, which is why I elected to put that head sculpt on him, because he's got kind of a neutral bottom jaw bit. But when I did get that figure, it came with that head sculpt, but I put that on my Logan World War II figure, which suits it better, because that's what he's doing with the helmet on. He's kind of roaring. So that's that mystery cleared up. So anyway, I'm going to give him one more pose together and then end the review. I just wanted you to see Wolverine in his mask. So this is the last one, and it's, I would call it the old poster pose. No real significance in these poses other than just trying to create a little bit of posability with these figures. And I do like that pose for Wolverine. We all know that he does do that in the films and comics and animations of this character. And this is the guy I've been concentrating on tonight because I've not reviewed him before. It's long overdue and I've enjoyed it, and I think he looks pretty good. I do hope to pick up the classic X-Men, but I've looked at those figures and they're not getting very good reviews, but they do have the look I require to pose them out in terms of the comic book images I remember as a kid. I'm not sure if I'd have this version of Beast in there, because I have seen him in that wave and he looks a bit different from this guy, or even Wolverine, because in the original X-Men he wasn't there. But it might be the case that if I can pick them up cheap, I will bring the two of these guys into the equation. So on that note, I would like to get one more close up because I've enjoyed doing this. Haven't had Wolverine in his mask for a long time, and this is my Wolverine, the look that I remember as a kid. And I was so glad that they finally woke up at Marvel and put Hugh Jackman in that suit and have him in the Deadpool movie. And then let's go to Beast one more time. Nice head sculpt there. I think I'm going to leave him with this head sculpt because when I had him in the Professor look, he had the other head on, of course, with the glasses. So I'm going to leave him like this and pose him out. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to have these two next to each other because my Beast is upstairs in my bedroom and Wolverine is downstairs. So I'll have to think about that one. But that's the review over and done with. Hope you've enjoyed watching it, and thanks for tuning into the channel. And again, once again, I've noticed a couple of you have subscribed to this channel, so I'd like to thank you. It's all new to me, this, but it's a posing channel to show you what you can do with your figures if you get hold of any new ones, or you've probably got these ones, but at the end of the day, I like doing this sort of stuff and I do appreciate your support, especially from my mate Ray. Check out Ray's collection and subscribe. Thanks for watching the channel, and I'll see you again soon.